I don't stress out about it. The money will come. If you're willing to at least improve your ability to draw, ability to focus, and ability to be present, the money will flow. Not stressing about it, I think, is what separates me from some other people.
You have very low expectations about what this particular outcome should be or look like, and yet you have very high intention in your actions around what you're doing. If you want a recipe for success, that's it. Welcome to the Artful Dollar podcast. My name is Ryan Roy. I'm a tattooer, a business coach, a spiritual seeker, and just a curious human being, especially about the things that people don't like to talk about. And so money is one of those things, business, and I just like to explore the things that don't often get looked at. And in my pursuit of learning and spirituality and business and money, I find that it's really helpful to speak with people that inspire me, that I see are up to things and I want to learn about, and maybe even take some of their essence that I can use in my own life. And I want to share that with the listeners of this podcast. So I was on the Honest Tattooer podcast a few times, and I got to chat with the guys over at No Idols Tattoo in New York City. And Matt Truiano is just a fucking incredible tattooer, human being. Honestly, it was like an energy that I feel when we spoke a couple times. I was like, there's something about this guy. I just want to share him with the listeners. I think a lot of tattooers are wondering what can they do to just be a better overall human being, business person, creator, tattooer. And so I feel like you might have something to offer in that realm. So Matt Truiano, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. That's very kind of you to say. And yeah, I do put a lot of effort into making sure that I am somebody other than just a tattooer. I think that's important.
What are you other than a tattooer?
I guess most importantly, I'm a father. I'm a husband, right? That's top of the priority list. But aside from just as far as like financially, I'm an artist. Full slap. I'm an artist. And I've done many things over the years to try to, I guess, monetize being an artist. And one of the things that is entertaining to me, and I guess it keeps me going, but it also annoys my wife, is that I'll get interested in something, and then I'll just dive in deep, and I'll spend a ton of money. Am I allowed to curse on here? I'll spend a shit ton of money. Yeah. I'll spend a shit ton of money on equipment and watching, buying books and watching movies and videos of like, let me learn as much as I can about this particular topic, and I'll just go deep into it. And then sometimes it's like a month or two later, I'm done. I'm over it. I'll move on to the next thing. And now I've got all this stuff just sitting in the corner of like this venture that I had this journey. And I learned a little bit, not a lot, how much could you possibly learn in a month or two, but I got my fix. I learned something, and sometimes I turn a profit on it, sometimes I don't, but I feel like just the knowledge that I gained from learning that one thing then gets passed on to the next thing that I want to do, and it just keeps snowballing. And like eventually I feel like I'm going to be in a place where anybody could ask me to make anything and I'll be able to do it, and it'll be great. That's like my goal.
Yeah, one, I can fully relate to that obsession, and I have my new thing. A while ago, years ago, I got really into ham radios.
Okay.
Do you know anything about ham radios?
No, I know what they are.
This was like heavy in my like survival bug out prepping kind of phase. And I was like, we need communication when the grid goes down. And the only way to do that is with ham radios. And I started studying it. You need to get licensed to use a ham radio. Anyway, it was like one of my most insane obsessions. And yeah, it was probably like maybe 2 months. I got books. I'm like reading about it. I'm like investing, and all that shit is just in a closet now.
Yeah.
Do you have any like real, what's the weirdest thing that you like dove deep into down the rabbit hole?
Man, weird. I don't know if I got anything weird, but like I've got a full.
There's nothing weird about you?
No, I'm a pretty normal guy. I got a full wood shop in my garage right now with like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of tools that I used to be pretty into woodworking. And once I had the kids, like the noise was just too much. They were trying to nap. I couldn't do it as much. And then just like slowly So
Yeah.
I've literally got an entire wood shop with the whole dust collection system and everything in there. Never gets touched.
I also love woodworking. One of my
Yeah.
favorite. I've done metal lead welding, jewelry making, metalworking for yeah, everything.
Yeah, I got into like camera equipment, got the lighting, the backdrops, all the filters, the lenses, and everything. They just sit there. I got into leather working a lot, and then I just like pounds and pounds of like rolls of leather, and then all the dies and all the tools and everything. They just sit there now, like, and it's cool too because
Yeah.
like at some point I know that I can go back into it, and if like I just want to do a hobby for one day, like oh let me pick this up. I got the stuff there, but I had a little Etsy shop going. I was selling some woodworking things. I was selling some leather crafts.
That's something that is interesting. There's obviously the creative drive of like I like to make with my hands. I want to make something, but then there is also the entrepreneurial drive. Like I want to monetize this. I want to turn this into something. I want to sell this. Is that always a part of it? Is it sometimes a part of it for you? Where does that entrepreneurial spirit come from?
So no, in the beginning, it's always just out of pure interest. I'm always looking to learn something new, and then after I
Yeah.
spend a lot of money on learning that thing, I'm like, oh man, I should probably get some sort of return on this, and then I'll make something,
Right.
and then usually what happens is somebody will see it. Like I always, not always, but I'll post, hey, check out what I made, either online or to my friends, and I'm like, oh yeah, can you make me one of those? I'm like, oh yeah, I could probably make a couple of bucks. So I'll make a few, sell a couple. But the initial like the startup of it is never it's never intending to make money off of it, but it sometimes goes that way, sometimes it doesn't too. I've had a couple of projects where I thought I'd be able to make some decent money off of, and then after doing it realizing that the amount of money that people are willing to pay for this product is not worth my time and not worth the materials. So
Yeah.
then I'm just like, all right, I'm going to just me enjoying doing this for myself, and that's all it is.
I also like I'm constantly thinking of ways to monetize something and not out of a like I need to make money doing it, but it just kind of seems like a fun game
Yeah.
to be able to do. I don't know if you can relate to that at all or like it's more than just making it. Like I like making it, but then I also just want someone to enjoy it and I don't want to just give it to them. I don't know. It's just and I also am like I've heard a lot of tattooers say that I don't tattoo for the money or I don't do it. There's sort of this if I do it, I have to do it for either the love of the art or I'm doing it for money. And I'm always trying to teach people like you can do it for both. It's
Yeah,
okay. It's not
for
you're
sure.
not bad for wanting to do that. It doesn't seem like that's something you've struggled with. It's just like, oh, I make it. Oh, maybe I can make money. Maybe I won't. But you kind of seem to be a bit more playful with it.
I am, and I think that's why I don't want to say successful because all these things are. If I were just to rely on these hobbies as making money, it's not successful. But I think the fact that I do make some money off of it is because I don't stress over it. If I make money, cool. If not, and I think people feel that energy. I think if you try to be a little too salesy on it, people are get like turned off on it.
Yeah, totally.
If you just put your love and your work out into the atmosphere, I think people will receive it and want it and be willing to pay for it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just to actually roll back 1 second, because you said something about I don't know if they're successful. I want to share with you a definition of success that I really like that's helped me,
Okay.
which is success is succession, right? One after the other. So success is moving from failure to failure with velocity.
I like that.
Like the faster you can move from failure to failure, like that's success. And so in that sense, you have been very successful.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
But so what does your day look like? What is your how do you operate? Let's just like start at the top. Do you wake up early? I know you got kids. Like how do you manage it all?
I am not a morning person. I've never been. And
Okay.
my kids, they get up. I got to get them ready for school. Oftentimes, it's either my wife or me getting them ready for school, whether she's home or not in the morning. She works part time. So if she's home, then she's on kid duty. I get to sleep in another 15, 20 minutes. But either way, I'm up probably around 8 o'clock in the morning, right?
Okay.
Getting them on the bus. I try to always do my drawings for my tattoo appointments the night before. It doesn't always happen.
Are you a night drawer or
I'm
you're
a
not a
night
morning
drawer.
drawer?
I'm a night worker. Yeah, yeah.
I'm a
Almost every.
morning drawer. I can't draw at night.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. I got too much stuff going on. 'Cause even though, so I've got a 5-year-old kid, actually he's 6 now. I have a 6-year-old boy who's in kindergarten, so he's gone all day. But I also have a 3-year-old daughter that she only goes to
Yeah.
preschool 2 days a week. So when he's in school, she's home with me, and if my wife is at work,
Yeah.
I'm with her the entire time. So I really can't do anything other than just hang out with her and make sure she doesn't
Yeah.
do trouble.
I know. My daughter's 4.5, and at that age, at 3, yeah, there's no work getting done if they're
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, so majority of my day, when I can sneak away, like right now I'm sneaking away, I got the TV on her, hopefully she's entertained for a little while. When I can sneak away,
Yeah.
I'll do what I can for, as short of a time as I can. But most of my work outside of being in the tattoo shop is done between the hours of like 10 p.m. and like 2 a.m. That's where I get most of my stuff done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How many days a week are you drawing until 2 a.m.?
Well, I tattoo 4 days a week, so I'm at least drawing 4 days a week for tattoo
How many
appointments.
appointments a day do you do?
Just one.
Just one a day. Okay, one a
Yeah.
day, 4 days a week. I think 4 days a week, 1 to 2 tattoos a day, I think is the ideal tattoo schedule in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're doing longer sessions too. Like, I think
Yeah.
that's perfect. And honestly, even if I have an appointment booked that's only going to take like 3 or 4 hours, that's it. I'm not doing another one that day. I used to
Yeah.
do
That
two
makes
appointments a day. I used to do like before I had kids. I was living in an apartment. I had a dog. I would do one appointment that was like 3 or 4 hours. I'll wrap him up, send him home, and then I would drive home, walk the dog, and then come back to work and do another appointment after that. And it was okay. I was young. I didn't have kids. I was married, but it was okay. But it was just not sustainable to do that. Like it was just too much drawing, and that was the problem. Like I hated having to come up with two good designs every night, and then make sure that I nailed the first one, the first tattoo, in time to be able to get him out the door, walk my dog, and be back before the other person, before it's time for their appointment. Because there's nothing that I hate more than somebody waiting for me to finish up. Because then I feel like I got to rush all
Yeah.
the other stuff. And it's not fair
Oh,
to
absolutely.
first
I hate
yeah,
that. And they're sitting there, and
it's
you're frustrated with it, and it's like
yeah,
you can't get in the flow. Yeah.
yeah. So I stopped doing two appointments purely for that reason.
How long on average does it take you to draw a design? Like, I know that's a wide range, but do you do finished versions of every, like full color renderings of every tattoo that you do?
Not everyone. Ideally, I would, but I just don't have the time every time. So,
Sure. Yeah.
for example, the tattoo that I did yesterday was of a bunny and some oranges. And I showed my client literally just like cut and paste of my reference. Like, this is where everything's going to go. Do you like it? And she's like,
Yeah.
cool. And then from there, I just made a quick stencil outline. And then we went from there and I winged it. And that was just a result of me not having time. I'm going on vacation tomorrow. We're leaving for Florida. So it's like trying to get ready, packing and everything, getting the kids ready. So
Sure.
like this week has been kind of hectic. So that's not my ideal situation though. I would prefer to have a nice clean drawing,
Right.
fully
You can
colored.
do it if you need to, but
Yeah.
not how you prefer to work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's better for everybody. The client gets a better idea of what to expect, what the tattoo's going to look like in the end. And then it's just smooth sailing for you as the artist. You don't have to make any decisions while you're tattooing. Because, I mean, we all know we're tattooers. If you make the wrong decision while you're tattooing, you got to live with it. You're fucked, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's better, even if
Sometimes I
it's...
like the excitement of that.
It is very
I like
exciting.
living on the edge. Like, I hope this looks good.
But, I mean, I feel we've all been there, like, shade something in black and you're like, oh man, it would have looked better if I didn't shade that in black, and you gotta
Yeah,
roll with
yeah.
it. At least if
I
you
shouldn't
color
have shaded off that line because now I can't shade off the other line. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So that I mean that's why I prefer to do not even just like a value study but a full color study, because you can get a good idea of your color composition that way. It just makes everything so much easier.
When you have the time to put into, let's say I want to get my shit banged out, how much time do you like to spend on that drawing?
I mean, how much do I like and how much do I actually do are two different questions, right? I mean, I would like to spend an hour or two on it. Realistically, it's more like 8, 9, sometimes 10 hours if I had to fully color it.
Gotcha. Do you redraw things a lot? I will redraw something 4 or 5 times before I actually tattoo it.
Not so much. I try to make sure that the first one is the right one. I'll tweak it for
Yeah.
sure. But as
Yeah,
far
yeah.
as composition goes, like I'll try to make sure that in the very beginning stages of my drawing, like I'll doodle around with a couple of different compositions fast
Right.
just to see if this is what I like. And then from there, I'll make sure that. But I won't do like a full drawing and then be like, scrap that and start all over again.
No, no, no. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get you. Yeah. Okay, so 4 days a week, one tattoo a day, and now not all those sessions you have to draw for. Do you
Right.
schedule yourself out in a way where you're like, I do a certain number of tattoos that I have to draw for and a certain number that are continuing, or how do you move that around?
Man, that would be a really good idea. I should do that.
Oh yeah,
But
that's how I set up my schedule. Was like I will do two pieces that I'm starting. I used to do 4 days a week, two tattoos a day.
okay.
So I would say roughly half of those are ones that I have to draw for, and then if someone wants to book an appointment that requires me to draw, I have my schedule dialed in where it won't let them book in a week that already has 4 appointments that I have to draw for. So then it'll force them to book into the next week.
What service are you using to have your clients book for you?
Acuity scheduling.
Okay. See, I use App Toto, and I don't know. I mean, I guess there's settings in there. I haven't really dove that deep into it, but yeah, they just my clients book whenever there's an opening.
So sometimes it's a full week, 4 drawings, and sometimes it's a week where you barely have to draw at all because it's
Yeah,
continuing older work. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Okay.
love those books. Those are great.
I know, right? Those are fun weeks. Yeah. So, all right. So you get all your drawing done at night. So people often say, I just don't have enough time. I can't get it all done. And I always tell them, like, okay, so go to sleep earlier, wake up earlier, or go to sleep later and wake up later. Like we all have the same amount of time, but it seems like some people get more done than others. And clearly, with the family, with the level of attention to detail in your drawings and tattooing, like you're just like, well, I'm going to stay up till 2 a.m. drawing. That seems to
Yeah,
be. How long have you been doing it that way?
probably, man, a couple of years. I'd say longer than I've had kids. That's for sure. So my son is 6. I feel like I've been doing this at least 8, 9 years this way.
And how long have you been tattooing total?
Going on 17, 18 years.
Okay.
Started in 2006.
Yeah.
So whatever that math is.
2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I just saw, I think it was Jim Quick. He's like I don't even know what to describe him as. He's like a brain guy. Like he trains people how to think better, how to just like remember stuff, like really just exercise your brain more, right? And I
Cool.
think it was him. He had a post that it was saying a lot of people, I'm paraphrasing this, a lot of people say that they don't have time to do all the things that they want to do. But in reality, what you should do is say, I'm not prioritizing the things that I should be doing. So if you if you restructure the wording of it, it's like, don't say I don't have time for that, just saying I'm not prioritizing that. And it really makes you rethink what you should be doing and really what is the priority. If you can't get something done in time, is it because you don't have the time, or you're just putting it lower on the priority level?
Yeah, I 100%. I'll say whenever I catch myself about to say I don't have time for that, I don't always say this out loud to other people, but I'll tell myself like I'm not willing to put the time into that right now. Like I'm just
Yeah,
gonna say it how it is. Like
yeah,
what's the truth is, because what people do is they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. But really, what they're saying is, I'm not willing to invest the time in getting that done. But
right.
they don't want to say that. So they just want to say, yeah, I'm going to try to get that done by the end of the week. But they know in that moment they're not going to fucking do it.
Yeah, no, they're not. You're just lying to everybody. You're lying to yourself, you're
Yeah,
lying to
you're
the
lying
world.
to yourself. You're lying. And I'm a big proponent of like the way we speak about ourselves and our lives really is what creates our whole life. And so you want to look at like, well, why is your life like the way your life's like? Look at how you speak about your life, and you'll see a lot that is indicative of why it is that way.
Yeah, I've never cared too much about vocabulary, but the last year or so, I've been learning that the words that you use definitely affect the way that you think. And it's something on like this weird level that I don't even fully understand, but I've noticed it lately. Just like saying things like this, like I just don't have, I'm not prioritizing it. It just really it changes everything about you. So it's helpful to kind of just change the words that you use. It helps.
Yeah. If you've been enjoying this episode or found my podcast helpful and you think other people would benefit from listening, then all I ask in return is please leave a quick review or subscribe. It'll take just 1 minute and it might help other tattooers and artists find this podcast and help them. So please, it would mean the world to me and it might make a difference for someone else. Thanks. So I also want to talk about, I'm interested in why and how you are the way you are now. You have this amazing, successful career. You have this awesome hustle with prints. Like, I've never seen a tattooer hustle prints the way you hustle prints. So I'm interested in that. I'd love to maybe even just circle back into how did this all get started, tattooing? You want to talk a little bit about how you got into tattooing? And yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I remember being like a junior in high school, and my sister, she's older than I am, she got like a small little tramp stamp on her back. Her husband got a tribal band. Like, this is, late 90s, early 2000s. And
where'd you grow up?
Rockland County, New York. So it's right outside.
Oh, where were you? Okay, cool.
Where I live right now.
Yeah.
And there was just something about the tattoos that they got weren't cool by no means at all. But there was just something that fascinated me about it. And then I actually had a cousin at the time. He had a couple of really cool tattoos of some old school, the Reaper, just a dagger on his forearm right here. It just really stuck with me. And just the designs of the tattoos themselves made me want to draw that way. And I started drawing it on paper, and then I got these, they were called Milky pens at the time. I don't know if they're still around, but they were this gel, milky consistency of pens that drew on skin so well. And I was going throughout my school just drawing tattoo designs on all my friends on their skins in class. And
how old were you?
I was probably 16, 17, something like that.
Yeah.
The seniors at the time would see that I was doing that, and they were 18. Like, oh man, can you draw me a tattoo design? I want to go to the tattoo shop and get a tattoo design. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then I started doing that. I wasn't charging anybody for it. It was cool for me to draw a design that was good enough for somebody to want to get
in with the seniors. The seniors got all the good drugs. They got all the girls. Yeah.
So after doing that for a little while, I would draw on myself too. And then there was one design that I drew on my arm while I was on vacation, hanging out on the beach. I drew a hibiscus flower on my arm. I was like, this is pretty fucking cool. And I took a picture of it. And then when I turned 18, I took that picture to the tattoo artist. Like, look, I drew this on my arm. Can you tattoo this on me? And the guy was like, all right. And that was my first tattoo, is this hibiscus flower right in here. I brought the design that I drew on myself to the tattoo guy, and I asked him about getting into tattooing.
The tattoo guy, that's the professional nomenclature.
Yes, yeah, for all the layman's. And I asked him about how do I get into tattooing, and his answer was like, don't talk about that. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, if the boss hears you trying to talk about learning how to get into tattooing, he's going to get really pissed off, so just don't talk about it. I'm like, okay. And that was kind of the end of it for a couple of years.
Did you think that was weird at the time? That felt kind of weird?
No, I don't know. I guess, yeah.
Did you know that it's something that you shouldn't talk about a little bit? Did you
no,
going into it? You had no idea.
I was young. This is my first experience being in a tattoo shop, and anything involved in.
Why not ask?
Yeah. So, but this guy was cool. So I got tattooed by him a couple of times, and he was like, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm not going to teach you anything, but the one thing I will say is just listen to my machines while I'm tattooing you. I'm like, okay. And that was my first, I guess, instruction on how to tattoo. Just listen to how his machines are running when he changes from a liner to a shader. And then a few years go by, and I kind of I forget about it. I'm still getting tattooed, but I kind of just, the idea of learning, he kind of squashed. And then fast forward a few years, I'm in college, and I'm going to art school. I'm going to the SVA, School of Visual Arts in Manhattan. And as I'm doing my illustration degree, as I'm getting my illustration degree, there are other kids in my class who are tattooing in their houses, in their apartments. And it kind of sparked the interest again. And I'm talking to these guys, and they're telling me what needles they're using. They're going to Unimax and buying just one needle at a time and one tube at a time and just tattooing their friends. So it kind of sparked the interest. And so I'm like, all right, cool, maybe I could do this. So I wound up going to a different shop, asking for an apprenticeship. The guy gave me an apprenticeship. little did I know that he was a junkie and he was like shooting up in the bathroom mid tattoo and coming back with blood dripping down his arms to finish the tattoo. And like I was so young and so
Traditional
dumb.
apprenticeship, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, all right, damn it, the guy's going in the back. Like that's cool. And so it took me a little while to realize that this probably isn't the right spot. And what I did is I wound up while I was there, I bought a tattoo machine off of eBay, and I was watching him tattoo, going home, and then tattoo my friends with whatever knowledge I could pick up at the time. And I was doing that for I don't know a couple of months, and this is now like 2006. So I did that for a couple of months, and then I tattooed my friends who like one of them was my bandmate at the time. He was the other guitarist in the band that I was in, and like all the friends that would come hang out like the parties and the after shows and go to our band shows. Like these are people that I hung out with all the time, and I would tattoo them, and then I would see their tattoos a week later botched to shit, and it made me feel like such a trashy person. And there was one girl that I tattooed. She already had the Deftones horse on one hip, and she wanted me to match it on the other one. And man, I blew it so bad.
Ooh.
And she wound up having to get like a full cover up on her stomach to cover both of them because it was just that bad. And like she hated me after that. Like we weren't that close, but we were friends. And then after that, like we would see each other at
Yeah.
parties or whatever, and she would just blow me off. Like she was really pissed, and it made me feel like trash. So I stopped
Yeah.
tattooing my friends out of my house. And I learned quickly. I was like, all right, this is not the way to do it. If I want to learn how to tattoo, I need someone to teach me how to do it. So
Yeah.
another shop opened up in town. I went there and I brought the 4 pictures of tattoos that I did on my friends and I presented this to the guy as my portfolio. And I was like, hey, look, I know you just opened up a shop. If you need another artist, I'm your guy. Right. And I tried to sell it like I knew how to tattoo.
I'm your guy.
And he's been around. He started tattooing in the 80s. Like he knew what he was looking at. And fortunately, he was like, you're not a tattooer, but he must have seen some potential in me. He's like, I'll give you a shot. I'll give you an apprenticeship. So that guy, Bobby, he was the one who gave me the apprenticeship. And so technically, I started tattooing in 2006. My apprenticeship started in 2007. And then, like, my tattoo artist, like, full fledged career started in 2008. Yeah.
Awesome. That's a
Yeah.
cool. Just I love hearing people's origin stories, and so I always feel like people's mindset around just life in general just plays such a big role in the trajectory of their life. Do you feel that you have a certain mindset or perspective that served you well then and has continued to evolve over time?
Yeah, I think something that I see that happens with a lot of tattooers, and especially young tattooers who are good artists, think that they're the shit. And I always had the mindset of I'm good, I can draw, I'm no better than the guy next to me, and I might be able to draw better than my client, but I'm not above them. And if they have ideas, if they want to change something, I'm like, oh, cool. Let's do what you want to do. I'm happy to give you the tattoo that you want. And I've worked with many tattoo artists that are like so insulted when a client either doesn't like their design or they just want to change a little bit. And I see those tattooers not get repeat clients and they're sitting around. They'll tattoo this person once and we'll never see that guy again. So I always try to be like equals with my clients and equals with the people that I'm working with. I never set myself higher than anybody else.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I know the feeling of like when you present a design and they have some suggestion, there is this little like ego thing in me that is like it like kind of like resists it.
Yeah.
But I always know like, all right, let me just listen to what let me see because there's also a part of me that's like, yeah, that's actually I can see why that would be better now. You know, like
Yeah.
it's almost like this internal dialogue. And so I need to like smother that little voice that's getting insecure or hurt by, any suggestion other than what I presented. And then so almost every time I come back, I look at the tattoo, I'm like, this is a better tattoo because I listened to my client and what they had to say. It really honestly is.
On our podcast, on the Honest Tattooer podcast, every now and then we do listener critiques. And I think it's so great that people are willing to put their work out there for other people to pick apart. Because without that, you're always going to make the same decisions. You're always going to make the same mistakes until somebody tells you, like, oh, maybe you should try this a little different. When I was in art school, there were a couple of classes that all we did were critiques, 4 hours of critiques. And then at the end of the class, we would get the assignment, go home, do the project, come back, and then just have everybody in class tell you how bad of a job you did. And I think that
Yeah.
that's just, it set something inside of me that made me realize that other people have better opinions and better ideas than I do.
Yeah, there's no way for you and your individual pinhole viewpoint on the world, on art, that you're going to have the best possible way of looking at it. And
Yep.
I think if there's anything that any tattooer could possibly do, if you take one thing away from this conversation, be willing to have your work critiqued by people that are better than you, or at least just different perspectives, people that you admire their work.
Yeah,
And,
they don't
and
have to be
wanting to
better
hear
than you.
that. They don't even have to be better than you. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. I went to the Explorer Tattoo Expo. They do all the seminars. Have you ever been to the Explorer Expo?
I haven't, no.
Dude, it's such a good time. I just felt so excited to be a tattooer and being there amongst other tattooers that are learning. And they do these critiques on stage where they project your tattoo on, and you have like hundreds of tattooers in the audience looking. And Dan Pemble was doing these critiques, and I was talking to him in the morning before the convention. He's like, "Yeah, a couple people submitted work, and it's fine, but I'm not like excited to critique them." And I was like, "You want to take a look at a couple of pieces? If you want, you tear it apart. I don't care." And so yeah, he took one of my pieces, this big like gnarly skull with bat wing, kind of like pus heady kind of vibe, and he just tore it apart on stage. I loved it. I mean, it was just so much fun. And I was like, oh man, I could have done this and that. I could have made that blacker, and just like all these little.
Yeah.
It was just, I love it. I think it's so cool.
I think it shows how big of a person you are to be able to take that criticism and learn from it instead of getting upset by it and be like, oh, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
You know?
Anything else around your perspective, your mindset, that like, what's your mindset like today around tattooing that you feel has given you the life you have, the career you have, the family? Like, I think they're all very tied together. So I'm always curious about those things.
Honestly, I think that's it, man. I think that I try not to put too much focus on outperforming in the sense of like, I don't even know how to say this. I guess I don't care too much. You know, like I don't stress out about it. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I don't stress out about it. The money will come if you're willing to at least improve your ability to draw, ability to focus, and ability to at least just like be present, really. I think the money will flow. And not stressing about it, I think, is one thing that separates me from some other people. Like I have a couple of guys that I work with that I hear them talk about how they're not getting clients and they can't pay rent, and then they're just really struggling, and then the next day they're not at work, whether it's because they're down on themselves, they're physically sick, whatever the reason is. And it's just like a snowball effect. Like they're not getting the work, they're not coming to work, and then because they're not at home doing extra work to try and get the clients, like just it keeps growing and growing, and they're just like totally stressed out about it. And I've always been a proponent of just go with the flow, and the less you stress about it, I think obviously the easier life will be. And I know that's a lot easier said than done. Some people they
Sure.
don't have it that easy, and I understand it. And I think the best thing you could do is just try to like take a deep breath, remind yourself that it could always be worse, right? And if you're in a tough spot, try to figure out what could I do, just the bare minimum right now to kind of give me 1 inch of a step forward, and it'll just snowball effect. You'll get out of it.
I want to take what you just said, because I feel like I'm seeing something in you, and maybe I'll frame it a little bit differently. You tell me if that resonates, but you have very low expectations about what this particular outcome should be or look like, and yet you have very high intention in your actions around what you're doing.
Yeah, that's good. That's
Does that
I
resonate?
wish you could say things more eloquently as you can. Yes, yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, and I would say that is probably one of the, like, if you want a recipe for success, that's it. Lower your expectation around, oh, this particular outcome. If I draw this flash sheet, I should make X amount of dollars, and then no one books an appointment, and you're like, well, fuck it, I'm not going to draw anymore. Or
Right.
I'm not going. What's the point of this? No one even gets it. And something I love, I heard about expectation is expectation serves one purpose. There's only ever in the history of humanity only ever been one purpose for our expectations, and that is to justify a disappointment.
I like that.
That's it. So any expectation you have about an outcome, so you are diving into all these different projects, doing the woodworking, doing this, purely from a place of like playfulness and fun and exploration and curiosity. And those are all the ingredients of like creativity. Art is a playful. You look at children, right? They imagine, they make pretend, they have no expectation. They're just playing and being silly and making mistakes, right? And when you lower your expectation, you can do that. You're free to do that. But when you place this high expectation, it lowers your intention because you're so dependent on that particular outcome. And so anyone listening to this conversation really looking at, okay, how can I be very intentional about my actions today? And like I like what you said, like what's the smallest thing you can do to just move the needle forward a little bit today? You don't move a boulder by pushing the whole boulder. You break it down into grains of sand and you just move it 1-2 grains at a time. And yeah, I think that lowering of expectations, increasing our intention is definitely something that I try to practice, and that's what I'm hearing in you. So very cool.
Yeah, totally. If you have a task in front of you that just seems like it's just like, whoa, this is too much to do. Like you said, like break it down into smaller parts. You don't have to do everything all in one shot. And just one step at a time, you'll get there. That's all you got to do.
So before we get off, there's two things I want to touch on. One is I want to touch on your print game. Your print
Yeah.
game is hard, dude. You're going hard in the prints. Tell me, like, for anyone that wants to maybe make a side hustle doing prints, what advice can you share? Because you have so much experience. I'm sure you made a ton of mistakes. Can you save them any mistakes, time, energy, money, by sharing your experience with making a side income from selling prints?
Yeah, totally. So to go back from the beginning, like a lot of other tattooers, I would draw designs, I would draw a flash, I would draw something that would look cool on a wall, and then I would send it out to a third party company and have them print it. And then usually you have to do some sort of minimum order, and I would get the minimum order back, and it just wouldn't look that great. And I would be super upset with it. I spent a couple of $100 on these prints, and they're not exactly what I wanted. And then sometimes they don't sell, right? So now I've got a ton of flash or a ton of paintings that I just got sitting in my office that I have nothing to do with. Like they're just taking up space. I spent a lot of money on it. It really bothered me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start doing this on my own. So in the beginning, I bought a smaller 13-inch wide Canon printer, and I was playing around with it, and I got it refurbished, which was great. It was like a $500 printer. I got it refurbished on Amazon for like $185. So if you could find a
Wow.
refurbished printer, yeah, that's the way to go. And it was factory. It was like factory refurbished too. It came with a warranty and everything, so it was great. So that was the machine that I made all my mistakes on. I learned that different papers are going to produce different results, and then with each paper, you have to do what's called, you have to install an ICC profile, which is, I forgot what it stands for. It's like the International Color something like that. But what it is basically each paper profile has chemicals in it that react to the ink that's being placed on it from the printer.
That makes
And
total sense. Yeah.
yeah, so each paper is going to have different reactions to the ink. So each paper has to have its own setting so that the printer knows how much ink to put on the paper because it's going to absorb different. So with each paper, you have to have an ICC profile downloaded and installed onto your computer, and
How do you get these ICC profiles?
usually from the
You just
manufacturer
look
of
them
the.
up
Yeah, yeah. So I
of
really
the
like
paper?
the paper. Yeah, the paper. So I really like the
Okay.
brand Hanamule. if you go on Hannah Meal's website, and I'm sure this goes with every paper brand's website, you go on their website, you select the printer that you have, the paper that you bought, and then it'll be a download link for that profile. Yeah, you just drag it into your
Okay.
computer, and then you just want to make sure that if you change papers, you're going to change the profile, because you
Right.
could have the same print on two different papers and it'll look wildly different.
Okay, so buy a refurbished printer and then make sure you get quality paper and you know the ICC profile and make all your mistakes on that refurbished printer. That's a great place to start. I like that.
Yes, if you can't find a refurbished printer, you don't have to spend like, I don't know if you can see right here, like this printer behind me is like a $3,000 printer. It's 24 inches
Yeah.
wide. I built up to that. I started with a 13-inch wide printer. They have ones now that are not super expensive. You can get one for a couple of $100 if you have the money to spend on it.
Yeah.
And then I built myself up to, like, I started from a 13-inch wide printer, and then after I started doing that, I was like, yeah, I think I can go a little bit bigger. I want to try some more statement pieces to have on people's walls. So I bumped up to
Yeah.
17-inch wide
Do
printer.
you think differently about the designs that you're doing for prints versus designs you're doing for tattoos? Do you think very differently or is it the same?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
100%.
How is it different?
I purposely make my designs when I draw them for a print not tattooable. And I'm sure
Not
people are,
tattooable.
yeah, people are going to try to tattoo it. And I've seen people tag me and stuff that they've seen my work and they try to tattoo it. And if you're a realism
They
artist, then
tattoo it. You're like,
yes,
cool.
yeah. I mean, if you're a realism artist and you're good, you could probably pull it off. But like, I put so many different effects and layers and like lighting things and just like different brush textures and all that. It's like if you really want to make it look like the original print, it's going to be difficult. And I purposely do that because I want it to look different than a tattoo design. I want my paintings to look like artwork.
Yeah, you can almost be more expressive. There's less limitations. So
Yeah,
you're taking advantage of that. Do you feel
right.
like that's actually helped you be a better tattooer in some way?
No, I don't think so. I think it's
Yeah,
maybe a better
it's just
artist.
different.
Yeah, it's just different.
Sure. Yeah.
Actually, in some ways, I feel like it may limit me a little bit because ever since I got an iPad, I've been drawing digitally, and I've been relying so much now on like layer modes and different brush
Yeah.
textures and stuff like that, and opacity changes and stuff like that. So I
Sure.
feel like now, if I were to try to do a traditional painting with a brush and paint, like I would never be able to do the effects that I can do digitally. It'll never happen.
Do you ever go to draw on paper and then you double tap it with your fingers?
Yes.
Have you ever done that?
Or I'll try to like pinch and zoom.
Yeah. I've done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to pause for 1 minute because we talk a lot about limiting beliefs around money and marketing. And if you are struggling to market yourself on social media, I want you to ask yourself, if millions of businesses use social media to generate billions of dollars in revenue, then how is it possible that tattooers can't use social media to book thousands more per month in tattoos? And if it is possible, what's stopping you from using content to generate more business? If you're interested in learning a content strategy that has been proven to book more tattoos, I am leading a content strategy masterclass for tattooers where I show you the exact strategy that hundreds of my clients are using right now to generate $5, $10, even $15,000 a month in additional appointments. And you can get all the details by hitting the link in the show notes down below if you want to sign up. If not, no worries. Back to the show. Okay, and then so I mean I've seen your videos on social media, which is the other thing I want to talk about. Like your social media game's pretty strong, dude. Like you just like you make it look easy. Like you're just like, like this is what I do, and I'm documenting it and I'm sharing it. But you put in so much work now that you're making these prints and you're selling them. You're rolling them up. You're putting them in the tubes. You take them to the post office and
Yeah.
do that. Like what are the things that people don't think about when it comes to selling their prints?
I'm glad you said that I make it look easy because it's not. And
I'm
there
sure it's
are
not. I'm sure
there
it's
are
not.
there are
Yeah.
a lot of times where in my mind I know, like for example, like I said, this week has been a bit crazy. We're getting ready for vacation. I really haven't done anything with promoting my artwork at all as far as the prints go. And that there's a direct result of I haven't promoted anything on social media, therefore I haven't made any sales at all this week as far as prints go. And
Yeah.
as days go by and I keep reminding myself like I haven't sold anything this week, it makes me think like I gotta do a video. And then
Yeah.
if I do have the time, let's say out of some stroke of luck, just somebody randomly buys a print, like let's say someone bought something this week. I know that in order for me to film the process of going through the whole thing, printing it, wrapping it, packaging it, and everything, it's so much longer of a process to film doing all that than just to do it. So
Oh,
I've
of
caught
course.
myself many times being like, you know what? I'm not even going to bother filming this. I just want to get it wrapped up, get it out the door, call it a day, and then I'll film it the next time.
Yeah.
So it is a process, and it's a lot more when you have to like change the camera angle, like change the lighting. Like it's a bit of a process, but
Yeah.
important to do that because, like I said, not doing that, people aren't seeing it, and now nobody's buying anything from me. So it's kind of like you got to do it in order to make.
Is creating that content, I'm sure I'm going to ask this question, but I already know the answer, like something you got better at over time?
Yeah.
Like, how was it when you first started doing it? Was it really hard to do?
So when I first started recording content like this, I was actually recording me doing woodworking projects in the shop,
Okay.
in the wood shop. So I kind of had an idea of a little bit of a flow. So bringing that into like the print studio here, I feel like I kind of had a handle on things. The things that
Yeah.
changed though are it's a much smaller area in here. And so like what bothers me sometimes is every shot looks exactly the same from video to video. And I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing, but it's just something that I'm aware of, and it's just something that I think about. But yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like I had the experience already, so filming it was just kind of an easy transition from going woodworking to here.
How important do you feel it is for tattooers? And everyone's got a different opinion on this, so I don't think there's one right answer. But how important do you feel it is for tattooers to at least embrace a little bit of making content for social media going forward, like looking into the next 5, 10 years of tattooing? How important do you feel that is?
If I had to give it a percentage, I'd say about 90%. That the importance level is 90%.
90%.
Yeah, like there's always going to be word of mouth that's gonna drive new customers, new clients into the shop, into your chair. I don't know how
Yeah.
much, like what's the ratio, right? Like I was actually talking about this last night. How many people, if you tattooed a really cool tattoo on a client of yours yesterday, and then that one client goes to the bar the next night, and a few people ask like that, cool. Maybe you get a few people to see that tattoo that your clients know talking about the tattoo. After the tattoo's been on that body for a little bit and it's settled now, it doesn't have that wow factor anymore, and most likely more people aren't going to notice it like out in the real world that much, right? When it's fresh, yeah, people might
Yeah.
notice like, cool, that's
Right.
fresh, it looks cool, but where'd you
Right.
get
Then it
that?
just blends in. Like people don't even notice my tattoos when you know me for, I know what you
Exactly.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I feel like online, especially now the way that Instagram's going, like I'm seeing posts from like 2, 3 years ago on Instagram now. Like things are just recycling. So I feel
Yeah.
like there you have so much more of an opportunity to get eyes on your work on social media, and then if somebody sees it and then shares it with their friends, like it just expands so much. I think that even though the word of mouth thing is important, it's not good enough these days, at least.
Yeah. I would agree. And why do you think tattooers are so resistant to it? Like I'll post content about making content and like I had no idea that was such a controversial topic in the world of tattooing, but man, do people get angry.
They
They
do.
get angry and triggered by it, and they're like, I just want to do good tattoos. And I'm like, then do that. I'm not telling you what you have to do, but why do you think that is that people get so riled up about it?
I'm gonna say it's not just tattooers. I think every industry right now needs to be on social media to promote their business. And I'm sure, I mean,
Yeah.
we hear it from tattooers because we're in that world, but I'm sure that mechanics, I'm sure that barbers, I'm sure that everybody who needs to promote their service, there's going to be somebody in that company or in that job that's like, "Oh, fuck this, I'm not doing that. I just want to work on cars. I don't want to show anybody my day to day jobs or anything like that." So I don't think it's limited to tattooers, but I think it's because people sometimes just want to stay in like the way that they're used to, do things the way that they're used to, and they don't like change. And I don't know if they're afraid of change or they just not willing to adapt to whatever's new, but I think they're only going to get left behind. It's only going to get more and more where you have to stay up to date with whatever's out there now. So one of the guys that I work with, we were talking yesterday, and he totally acknowledges the fact that this is what you need to do in order to get the clients. And he's like, yeah, I'm not booked. I don't have a good social media presence, but I refuse to do it because that's not me. That's not my personality, and I don't want to do it. And I tell him, I was like, all right, I mean, that's cool. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. At least you're acknowledging that that's the reason why you're not booked right now. It's just weird to me.
I'll always, especially people that I'm coaching, like if they're willing to explore that, I was like, why are you not, if you want to do tattoos, you want to do sick tats, that's the goal. And the thing that can help you accomplish that goal is being authentic, sharing. Honestly, everyone immediately is like, I don't want to dance for TikTok. I'm like, you don't have to dance. Like, Matt, have you done a dance video yet?
I've done a dance, no.
You have yet to do a dance video, and it still seems to be working. Okay, so you don't need to dance.
That's
good
have.
to know.
I saw you have.
I did a dance video, it was for science, okay? I wanted to prove that I wouldn't die. Yeah. That was it. I just wanted a science experiment. And I didn't die, and it was okay, and the world didn't end. But I'll like, why don't you want to do that and really explore what's there that is resisting this? And if you really are honest with yourself, okay, there is a fear of judgment, that someone will see me doing this and they will have an opinion of me that I don't want them to have of me. Would you say that's probably it if you had to guess?
Yeah, and it makes me think of, do you follow Julian himself on Instagram?
No, I don't.
So his name is Julian Blanc, but his Instagram handle is Julian himself. And he does a lot of these classes where he's talking exactly about what you're saying right now, where he'll bring someone up in front of the classroom, and 9 times out of 10, these people are shy. They're worried about what other people are going to think of them. And he'll put them in front of the entire class and he'll say, scream as loud as you can. And they won't. They will not do it. And he's like, why? What do you think's going to happen? And they don't have an answer. And he's like, all right, just do it. Let's see what you got. And like sometimes they'll like very softly, just maybe not even a scream, but just do something. And like, okay, good. Are you still alive? Are you okay? Did anything change? And obviously they're still there, right? And then he'll say stuff like, what are you worried about? And then they'll answer like, oh, I'm worried about what they're going to think of me. And then his answer will be like, okay, he'll hold something up. Tell me that you hate this thing. And I'm like, I hate that. I was like, did it change? It's still this same piece of wire, right? It did not change. It doesn't matter what you think of it. It's still the same thing. So I think that people worry about what other people are going to think of them, but don't acknowledge that it doesn't matter. You're still going to exist. You're still going to be the same person, and their opinions really don't matter at all.
And these people that may or may not have an opinion of you that you don't want them to have, they're not your clients. They're not your friends. They're not supporting you. They're not helping you, right? They're not going to show up to your funeral when you die and have some kind words to say about you. So if they don't give a fuck about you when you die, why the fuck do you care about what they have to say about you while you're alive? That's my philosophy about it. Yeah. And so then you realize, okay, I don't want to feel like someone has an opinion of me that I don't want them to have. And I could make more money if I were to embrace this thing and just try it out, right? Just try it and see because you don't have to do it the way someone else does it. You want to find your way of doing it. But to avoid feeling that way, I'm actually going to pay an opportunity cost, right? Opportunity cost is what you could make had you done XYZ, or if you invested in XYZ. I'll ask people, like, how much could you make more per year if you were to maybe be more engaged on social media? And they'll say, oh, probably 10, 20, $50,000, realistically, conservatively, maybe more, right? I'm like, okay, so let's divide that by 12, right? Every month you're paying $2,000, a subscription every month to avoid feeling like someone has an opinion about you that you don't want them to have. So I got a great deal for you, all right? Here's the deal. You don't ever have to worry about that. No one's going to have an opinion about you that you don't want them to have. And all you have to do is pay me $2,000 a month. Deal? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, but you're already taking that deal. You're already paying that bill. And I think it's framing it in that sense of realizing, what am I actually resisting here? What's really at the core of it? And then what is the payoff and what's the cost? The payoff is I don't have to worry about people having an opinion about it. The thing is, they're going to have an opinion about you anyway, right? Or they're not, or who cares? Like, whatever. They're honestly too busy thinking about themselves to really worry about you too much. And even if they do have an opinion about you, and I get all kinds of funny trolls saying all kinds of funny, weird shit on my page, I'm not going to pay that bill. That's too expensive. I don't make enough money to afford to give a fuck what other people think about me. And so I'm not going to pay that bill. And that's how I like to look at it.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And that goes exactly to how we were saying before. Just the way that you reword it changes your mindset about it.
Exactly, the way you reword it. Yeah. So I'm dissecting what makes Matt Truiano an admirable, successful artist, the things that we can take away. So the other one is you're very adaptable.
Yes.
Right? You're jumping around from project to project, low expectation, high intention, adaptable. Oh, now people are doing the social media thing. Well, now I'm going to do that, And how much do you care about what people think about you, Matt?
I mean, I do. I do a little bit. I don't let it bother me though. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, everyone does. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, everybody cares. It's a matter of how much are you
Does that
able
stop you?
No. It's just how much are you able to let it roll off your shoulders and just keep barreling through. I don't get too much on my personal tattoo page of people saying, not even hurtful stuff, just like disagreeing with me. Sometimes they do, but not always. I see it a lot more on the podcast page. A lot of people have opinions over there. And honestly, man, I look at that stuff as engagement. And whether they say something good, whether they say something bad, it's helpful. It helps with the engagement. It helps more eyes get on you. And then for personally, like with the things that we've been talking about on the podcast, I went into starting the podcast with a very different mindset than how I am right now, a year and a half later, because I do listen to all the things that people say, and I'm willing to take the critiques, willing to just listen to other people's opinions and be like, oh yeah, you've got a point. And so like you said, like I'm very adaptable and I am willing to hear the other side of the story.
I think that's also really healthy. It's like, okay, people might have opinions about me, and you know what? Sometimes people do say stuff. I'm like, yeah, maybe I didn't communicate it properly. And so rather than getting upset at them that they didn't understand what I meant to say, I can own that sometimes I say shit and maybe I didn't actually, now that I've said it, I don't mean it that way. And that's okay. Like, it's okay for human beings to make mistakes, say something, and then reflect on it and be like, you know what, actually, I don't agree with that thing that I said 5 minutes ago, a year ago, whatever. Most of the time, that's a good thing, actually. If you don't agree with things you said a year ago, that means you've grown, and that's a good thing.
For sure.
Cool, man. Well, anything else you want to share with people? Any other little nuggets of wisdom that you have to offer that might be helpful for anyone, either at the beginning of their tattoo career or 20 years in, that you feel would be useful?
I would just say, don't put all of your eggs in one basket, especially now with, I know people get upset with the term of the tattoo industry being oversaturated, but in reality, I think it is. And more tattooers are going to be tattooing. I think at some point, as we get older and there's going to be fresh new talent that comes in, they're going to outperform the older tattooers who just can't put in the longer hours. Maybe their eyesight's getting bad. Maybe their hands are starting to hurt. They can't do as good of a tattoo. Eventually, there's going to be a time where you either just can't make the same amount of money anymore, or whatever it is. I think it's important to have some sort of secondary income, whether it's doing prints or whether it's a totally different side hustle of maybe you're, I don't know, whatever it is. But especially with tattooing, there is no retirement plan, there is no 401k, there is, there's no health benefits or anything like that. So I want to encourage people that there's opportunities to make money doing other things outside of tattooing, and maybe it's something just to look into. Maybe, I'm 38 this year, and I know for a fact that there aren't many tattooers who are 55, 60 years old and that are crushing it. So whether maybe they own the tattoo shop and they have younger guys tattooing for them and that's their business, or they just have some other income coming in. But I think it's important to have something else on the side. And then, honestly, there was a couple of years ago, I broke my hand. I was not able to tattoo for 2 months. And then after that 2 months, when I was able to go back to work, my hand was weak. I had to do therapy. I couldn't even squeeze a bottle of ink to pour it into my ink cap because that's how weak my hand was. Like, it took a long time for me to be able to tattoo again. And fortunately, I have a wife who has a good job, and we were okay for those 2 months. But if I didn't, which I know that there are plenty of artists out there who are living by themselves and struggling as it is right now, if they can't work for a couple of months, like, you have to have something else coming in to help you out, pay those bills. So, just a little food for thought there.
Yeah. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, it is possible to create a side hustle. There's tattooers I know tattooers that also they teach yoga, or they teach all kinds of stuff, classes, courses. There's a lot of, tattooers doing that. When I started coaching, it was a side hustle. It was something I did very minimally. I tattooed 4 days a week. I coached 1 to 2 days a week. That was my side hustle. If anyone's interested in that, or any side hustle or passive income, I think the framework to look at is, what is a problem that I've solved for myself that I can then help other people solve? That's a question. So, I mean, I've seen people teach courses on how to can, pickle, and bottle their own food, and they teach a class on that, and they teach it online, and they have a side hustle doing that, and maybe that turns into their own thing. So just looking at what are the problems I solve, what are the needs that I can fulfill, great prints that are super high quality, that aren't just like the generic shit that you see, or like aren't as high quality. That's a problem that you solved for yourself. You could teach a class on how to build your own print business. I mean, you could, right? Or do you ever think about doing prints for other people, since you have the tools and you know what looks good?
Yeah, so I have done that. I'm sure you are familiar with Lalo. He is a tattooer.
Oh, yeah.
Splits his time from
I
Colombia.
knew Lalo since way back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so he just put out at the Empire Tattoo Convention that just happened this weekend. He had his own art gallery there. He had his originals, and his paintings are tremendous. They're like 10 feet wide. So he brought those with him from Colombia, hung them up at the convention. But then I made prints of all those paintings that he had, and I want to say that I made probably something like 60 prints for him to have for sale at the show. And I've done that with one other tattoo artist before. We did a small run, not as big as what we did with Lalo. But yeah, I mean, it made me think, man, I could really turn this into something.
Right, because what the tattooer is going to be really happy with, more than just one of these third-party, send it, print it type things. And that's a problem for other tattooers looking for that quality. And you've solved that problem for yourself, and now you could solve that problem for other people.
Yeah. I put a poll out on my Instagram asking what people prefer when it comes to the quality of their print. And specifically, I was asking the texture of the paper. Do you care if it's on a really nice quality textured watercolor style paper, or does it not matter? Is it going in a frame? You just want to put it on some shiny photo paper and call it a day? And I was expecting people to be like, yeah, if it's going in a frame, who cares what the paper feels like? Vastly, everybody was like, nah, I want the quality, I want it to look good, whether it's going in a frame or not, it doesn't matter. It's still, you're going to see that texture in there. They want to be able to know that
there's
feels
a depth to it. Absolutely. That you can tell the quality.
Artists know that. I don't know so much if just the general person who wants to hang the painting on the wall understands that, but at least like you're saying, like the artists know what to look for. They want to have the quality. So
The client might not know that, and so therefore it is the artist's job to sell that story about
Yes.
the artwork.
Yeah.
And really that's what marketing and sales is about, because your client might not be aware of the value of this print that's on this really expensive paper and the texture, and you need to actually tell them, like, do you see the texture and the depth and the grain on that? And you kind of tell a story about it, and that gets them excited. All of a sudden this thing that they would think is worth $30 because it's just printed on paper, all of a sudden, because of the story that you've told about it, to them, they're happy to pay $250 for that because of the story that you told about it.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what I love is that because I've experimented with different types of papers, different types of finishes, and I've shared that story with my followers on Instagram. I get questions all the time of people asking me like, "Oh, what do you think about this paper? What recommendations do you have? And you know, what settings should I do?" And I love to be able to offer that to people. So yeah, like you were saying, maybe I can teach a class on it. I don't know, but it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, not a bad idea. I think it's super cool. Well, if anyone wants to take a class in the future or just learn more about prints or your work, where can they find you on Instagram?
So it's just my name, Matt Truiano. It's one word, and there's 3 T's in there, so it gets a little confusing. MATTTRUIANO. But yep, Matt Truiano. That's where I spend most of my time.
On Instagram. And if you want to check out the Honest Tattooer podcast on all platforms, I've been on there a couple times. I think it's a great podcast to check out. Anything else, any other places people can find you or see what you're up to?
No, that's it. I'm working at No Widals NYC down in Lower Manhattan. And I do have to say, Ryan, the first episode that you were on, the Honest Tattooer podcast, it was like way in the beginning of trying to figure out what we were doing. So like the lighting was terrible, the camera shots were terrible. But your episode is by far the most viewed episode on YouTube. So you definitely some value out there.
That's cool. I get people all the time hitting me up. They're like, "Yo, I found you on the Honest Tattooer. I found you on the Honest Tattooer," all the time. So that's super cool. I'll have to come back again for round 3 sometime.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time to just share wisdom. I think people are going to get a lot of value out of this. I hope that someone listens to this conversation and takes a new action in their life or shifts their perspective in a way that helps their career, helps their family, helps their life. That's what I want people to get. So thank you.
Yeah, I would love that. I love inspiring people and knowing that I helped at least just a little bit.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome, dude. We'll get back to that kiddo.
All right. Thanks
again. Be well. And we'll talk soon. Later. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.